Really been learning to not get offended. In the last 4 months, I've been called nigger 3 times, 3 or 4 times. I'm losing count. Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I want to talk about 5 lessons that I've learned since traveling solo. I've had a few solo trips. My first solo trip was Peru, and then before that I did solo road trips in the UK, and then I've been to just a few different trips, but these lessons are the things that I've learned specifically in the last 4 months as I've transitioned into full-time travel. These lessons are from my personal experience, and it's not going to be necessarily a universal lesson for everyone. These are lessons from the lens of a black woman traveling solo, so bear that in mind. And yeah, let's get into it. I've got my journal here, and I've also got a cup of hibiscus tea. You know what I love? You know when you watch those videos and you see people taking a sip? Let me turn this the right way so it can be a bit more aesthetic for you. Okay. When people do this in the video, I love it, so I'm gonna do it and then we can get into the actual video. Okay, let's go. So the first thing that I've learned specifically in the last 4 months is to not be afraid to ask for help. So oftentimes when you're solo traveling, you're either very independent already, or you want to become more independent, or like you have that ability just to do things by yourself, and so you rely on yourself for everything because you have to. But I realized that sometimes you have to ask for help, and that's okay. And sometimes you're not going to know how to do everything. You might have to rely on someone to do something for you or to help you, and it doesn't make you any less independent. And even when you ask for help, you're still relying on your own intuition, you're still relying on your own judgment. One of the questions I ask a lot when I get into a new country is I ask people what their favorite thing to do is, but I also ask people if there's any areas that I should be aware of, especially after a certain time, or I just don't make sure that I'm not in that area at all. So yeah, that's my first tip. Traveling by yourself, it doesn't make you any less independent to just ask for help, and sometimes you'll need it, and that is okay. So the second lesson that I've learned is not to be afraid to stand out. Right now I'm traveling around Eastern Europe, and I realized I would get so many stares from people, and I just remember feeling very, very uncomfortable, and like everywhere that I went, eyes were on me. And sometimes the stares were out of people just being curious, wanting to know what you're doing there. And then sometimes you'd get like, you know, the dirty looks, or the, I don't know how to explain it, just like very uncomfortable stares. And I remember one day feeling so overwhelmed by like everyone looking at me, and it was only until I embraced the fact that I'm probably going to stand out in a lot of countries. There's going to be countries or villages or towns that aren't going to be used to seeing me, and I realized very early on in these 4 months that I have to really embrace it, and I have to be okay with taking up space, because sometimes when you're standing out, you can either, like, I don't know what the right word is, you can either go within, like into yourself and be very like, oh my gosh, everyone's staring at me, oh my gosh, or you can just know that everyone's going to be staring at you anyway. Do your thing and take up space, you know, and just be confident in that. I think it has actually built my confidence more, because now I know, I've conditioned my mind to think, oh, someone's probably going to stare at me at some point, you know what I mean, when I'm traveling. It doesn't always happen, not every country, but I've conditioned my mind to think that, like, whatever the stare is, if it's a nice stare or a negative stare, I don't care that much, and it's not my issue and it's not my problem. So girls, specifically black girls for this one, if you're wanting to travel to a country where you're like, I'm going to be the only black person there, people are going to stare at me, they will stare at you, but don't let that stop you from enjoying the country. Don't let the stares of other people change how you show up in the world. Like, keep showing up, be your complete self, and don't be scared to let anyone see that. Just fully embrace who you are. Like, fully be okay with it. Like, even a man was like, bless his heart, he was an old man, he didn't mean any harm, but he was like, your skin, and I was like, I'm black. And we just started laughing, because it was just so, it's so silly that you have to, I don't know, it is silly, but it is, if you can see the funny side of it, then that's always a good thing as well. Because it is quite comical. You would think though that with the amount of technology that we have right now, and just exposure to everything, that people would be accustomed to people of all different races, sizes, skin colors, like textures, like, I don't know, like you would think that, you know, even if I was orange, you'd think, oh, I've seen Simpsons before. Orange, yellow. They're yellow, aren't they? Yeah, but yeah, you get my point. So sit in it, stand in it, embrace it. Like, you're beautiful, you're confident, you've got this, and just don't let it affect your time. When these things happen, these are the times to step into your power and to really practice not caring what people think. So my third lesson that I've learned is just really trust your intuition, even if you don't know why your intuition is guiding you in a certain way. Just trust that inner voice inside of you. Sometimes that voice will be very, very loud and will scream at you. Sometimes it's quite quiet, and just like an underlying knowing that you should or shouldn't do something, or that you should or shouldn't be somewhere. The other day I was in a restaurant and I left because the energy was just off, and I was there for like 5 minutes and I just got up and left. Which is kind of another point or another lesson. Don't feel bad about doing that. Sometimes you'll need to do that. If it doesn't feel right, if you feel uneasy, if you feel uncertain, if something for whatever reason, even if it makes no sense to you in that moment, makes you feel safe and uncomfortable, leave. And it's okay. But yeah, and that can be a lesson to be used in life in general, but especially when you're traveling, you are really relying on yourself. You're often following in a compass of where you are, where you should be, and your intuition will also like let you know whether you should be staying in a place for too long, when to go home, when to go out. Yeah, so just trust that voice to lead you, and I don't think it will ever lead you astray. Sometimes you make a mistake, or you you follow a decision that you thought was right, or you make a decision that you thought was right, and you're like, oh my gosh, but why did it lead me here? Like, Albania for me was one of them. You guys won't see the Albania clips just yet, but Albania was just a very hard country for me. I didn't like it, even though I did have, in the midst of the chaos, beautiful experiences. Intuitively, energetically, I wasn't supposed to be there, like, in that time, you know, or I was supposed to be there to learn the lessons that I've learned, but I knew when it was time to leave. So the fourth lesson that I've learned is to not be offended by people. So when you're traveling, the beauty of it is that there's so many different languages and cultures, and just everything is different and new. But sometimes the language barriers and the cultural differences can make you feel, I don't want to say offended, that's not what I want to say. I don't know how, sorry, my words, Renee, what are the words you're trying to say right now? The difference in language and culture can be the difference between if something is rude or not. I don't know if I'm saying that in the correct way. So for example, in the UK, we're very polite, not everyone, but for the most part, overly polite. We're always saying sorry. This side of the world, they don't do that. They're more straight to the point, which can come across as rude and dismissive when they're not trying to be. So if you let everything offend you, then you're gonna have a really hard time just getting by. And so yeah, I've really been learning to not get offended. Like, in the last 4 months, I've been called nigger 3 or 4 times. I'm losing count. I've been called prostitute, I've been called dirty. It's not funny, but at the same time, I feel like every time I decide to be offended, I give my power to someone else. I'm so sorry, I've had to change my camera because the camera just froze and did something weird. But what was I saying? I've had very different experiences, and the first few times, especially with the racial remarks, I remember getting angry. I think I swore at one of the boys that said something, and I remember that after it happened, it left me feeling very like ashamed of myself. And when I say that, it's because I know better than to retaliate or to give someone that power, not because I didn't have every reason to react that way. To be offended, you are valid in that. So I'm not trying to downplay racism or downplay the things that should make you offended and the things that you should retaliate to. However, from my experience, and one of the lessons that I'm learning is that every time I swear back, every time I get angry or annoyed, or every time that I have a negative reaction and I express that, I'm stepping out of my power and I'm letting them control me. But I have to choose not to do that. The third time it happened, I didn't retaliate and I didn't get annoyed or angry, but I really stayed in my energy. And when I stayed in my energy and I didn't retaliate and I didn't get angry or upset, it made me feel better, like just in myself, and it didn't ruin my day. It was like a 2-minute thing, and in that very moment I was like, Renee, people are gonna say things that you don't agree with. People are gonna say things that you don't like. People are gonna call you a lot of names under the sun, I'm sure, at different points. But hold on to the positive experiences you've had, the positive remarks that you've had, because even though those things have happened, that's been a very small part of my journey. I've had so many more people compliment me. I've had so many more people be kind to me than I have had the people who have tried to be offensive. So when that happens, hold on to the beautiful things that are said about you. Hold on to the things that are kind and the things that build you up, and know that the offensive comments that people make knowingly, I'm not talking about the unknowingly ones, but the offensive comments that people make knowingly, just have compassion for their stupidity. That's the best way I can say it. And when I say compassion, I don't mean to be very passive or be like, no, but I just don't want you to, and myself, to step out of your power, you know? So when people say something like that and they're coming from a place of ignorance, don't allow it to change who you are. And that's what I'd say, and that's something I'm still learning, because it's only been the last few times where I haven't reacted and I felt really great about not having the reaction. I'm sure if you get me on a bad day, I could probably still react now, but I want to get myself to a point where I'm like, you know what, these people don't deserve my power, they don't deserve my energy, and like, just let it go. Someone saying something negative about my skin or about how I look or anything like that doesn't define who I am. You don't know me, so why am I going to be offended? But very beautiful, very powerful lesson that I'm learning. The sunlight is going and the video's changed so many times, but the fifth and final lesson is to put your camera down. So I realised that sometimes you want to capture everything through the lens of the camera, but first capture it through the lens of your eyes. See it fully before picking the camera up, or if you do have the camera up anyway, make sure you spend enough time just to take it in with like no devices, and just really be present and really be in it. And I'm saying that as someone who is like vlogging the content and wanting to show everyone, I say everyone, I'm wanting to show you the country, but I realise it's so important just to have those experiences for yourself. And it doesn't matter if it's not captured on camera, it's always going to be captured in your heart or in your memory, or just in your soul, you know? So put the camera down. And that's something that I'm still learning, you know, I'm still learning to do that. What really works for me is I have days where I don't film at all. So in the week when I'm in the country, and I'm also working as well in the week, but on the days that I'm working, and even if I go somewhere, I don't usually vlog. I might take a video clip of it or something like that, but I don't necessarily like vlog for a long time, or vlog if at all. I'll have days where I remember being in Montenegro and there was like days where I didn't vlog, I just didn't feel like it, and that's okay. Sometimes it's better to live in the moment. Don't let social media fool you into thinking that you have to do everything for a highlight reel, that you have to show everything and you have to like you know, like, no, like, enjoy it. That's what traveling's about. It's about experiencing it, and sometimes having your phone and taking pictures and getting the right shot and making everything so perfect can be tiring and draining, but also it can really take away from the experience and the present. So be present is the 5th lesson. Yeah, that's what I really wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that the camera has died, because I know you're going to be getting different like angles and different footage, but thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to go be present in my life, and I actually might watch Netflix. I'm tired. I'm very tired today. I think I've said that like 5 times. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope these lessons helped you. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Is that everything? I think so. Bye.